steak recipe. It is LR2046. I've got my mise en place all put together here. This is the spray for my pan, for my meat, pepper, salt, olive oil, beef gravy. These are for my roasted vegetables. So I'm going to roast my mushrooms and onions first because this is going to add a lot of flavor to our sandwich. So I'm going to do, this is for one batch. Obviously, if you're going to do more than one batch, you can do it in a bigger bowl. But this is 1 pound of mushrooms and 1 cup of sliced onions. And I sliced my onions kind of big, just so they could get the salt, pepper, and olive oil on them. So it's a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of pepper, and maybe half a teaspoon of pepper. And we're going to do a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. Now mushrooms have a tendency to suck up the olive oil a little bit, so I'm going to do 2.5. So don't be afraid if you don't see any oil on the mushrooms. I'm just going to toss it really good. But this is an important step in this recipe because this adds a lot of flavor to our recipe. And again, this is for one batch. All right, we're going to put this in a hot oven. The oven is at 375 degrees. Okay, so this is a half deep, 2.5 inch deep, full-size hotel pan. I've got my beef ribs shingled, and this is what I mean by shingled. Kind of like a deck of cards, you know. There are 24 in this pan, and I sprayed the pan with pan spray first to help it not stick or anything. And these are frozen. You can do this the day before, and they can be thawed out, semi-thawed when you bake it. But again, this is what shingled means, and there's 24 per pan. Okay, so my mushrooms and onions are roasted. These are hot. So I'm going to pour these into the gravy. And boy, this really smells really, really good, guys. I wish we had smell-o-vision. So this is 3 cups of gravy, of the beef canned gravy. And I'm just going to add the roasted vegetables to that. Kind of stir it in so that they're all nicely covered. Move this pan out of my way. Okay, then I've got my shingled meat right here. So I'm just gonna pour this on top of the steaks. And I'm gonna use this whole bowl. You may think, well, that doesn't look juicy enough. However, once the meat starts cooking, it's going to release a lot of juices, and it will, and the gravy will break down, and will be nice and juicy. So now this is going to go in the oven. If you have a lid, you can cover it with a lid. If you don't have a lid, you can do some foil. I do have a lid. And into the oven at 325 oven. Probably 20 minutes, we'll check it after 20 minutes. All right, right before we're getting ready to serve, I'm gonna put my buns into the warmer so they soften up. Do this 2 each lunch period. If you think you're gonna serve 48, which is 2 pans of the meat, or the subs, just go ahead and put a couple in, but do not put all of them in the warmer first thing in the morning. Just right before your lunch period, put them in so they warm up. These should have been thawed on the counter overnight, so they're totally thawed out, but then we're just going to warm them up in the warm. You can see we're temping at 155. So I have my buns in the warmer, as you can see. This now goes onto the serving line, or you can keep the lid on it and put it in the warmer, and then you'll serve it from the serving line. Do not prepare these back in the kitchen. Serve it on the serving line. And then you'll just, some mushrooms and onions on it, a little bit of gravy. And offer it in the window. Now, if there's any gravy left in here, I would just dump it on my next pan, just to give yourself a little bit extra if you want it. Okay. That's the mushroom steak.